Hello, hello, and welcome back to another episode, Love It or Shove It, where we are talking about love and how do we actually connect better with our partners and what it takes to do that. And again, this is something that we are learning together because everybody navigates their own love journey. And there is no such a thing that somebody is super expert because we are all living and we are all the students in this life. And I love this experience very much. And if this is the first time you are tuning in, welcome to this beautiful space. My name is Irina Portnova, and I'm all about manifestation and how do we manifest our best love and our best partnership in our life. And I'm here with my co-host, Bruno Gail. Bruno, would you like to say a couple of words about yourself?
Yes, of course. Well, first of all, Olga, we're very welcome here, of course. I wish you have
Mm-hmm.
a lovely time with us. My name is Bruno. I am a self-love coach for women. I help women be more authentic, more confident, have more self-esteem, have more self-love, be more expressive, and yeah, pretty much be more confident, right, which is needed, and it's always welcomed. So yeah, it's kind of what I do.
Beautiful. And we would love to welcome Olga Sky. Olga actually reached out to us last week because she just happened to scroll through the feed and our talk show came about. Olga, would you like to say a little bit about yourself, what you're doing in this world, and how did you happen to come and just discover us?
Yeah, thank you so much, Irina. I'm very excited to be there, and it's just totally me. When I see something that that something that interesting, I just jump in it. So just like I'm not a big social media person, but when I saw your interview with Bruno, it touched me actually, because you are two such different personalities, and it was last week, I believe, on
Yes.
Wednesday.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, I just like pick up my kids, and I'm just like saw you on Facebook, and I was like, wow, how deep is this? Because Bruno kind of showed his own perspective of understanding women and relationship, and Irina, all like manifestation queen, and it made me kind of like think, like about relationship. And I'm European trained psychologist. As my friends say, I was born as psychologist because I love people, I love their personalities, and. Here in US, so I'm like emotional coach and specialize in relationship. And for me, now I'm like at this stage, I was always working with people from Europe. And my first language is Russian. But now, like, I'm trying to understand, like Americans. I live here 20 years, don't get me wrong.
Mm-hmm.
Like all my neighbors, my friends, they all speak English. But, for me, it was still hard to understand. Just like not the lifestyle, different mental structures. They just think differently. My husband, he's from Europe also. He's Georgian, so I can tell you I understand him sometimes, not like all the time. And I believe like
Mm-hmm.
relationship, it's always like a new stage, but it's very
Mm-hmm.
interesting for me to understand better other people, and that's kind of what gives me your conversation, like different views on relationship. That's what
Mm-hmm.
touched me really.
I love that. I love that. And I would love us because you proposed the topic. And Olga
Hmm.
said, I'm coming back to your show again. And I said, of course, we have so many great topics to uncover. But today we are going to be talking about why deep connection slips away. And I just wanted to start saying that deep connection does not disappear overnight, and it actually fades in the small moments where we stop holding it, not because that we do not want it, but because we do not stay steady enough to keep it. So, this is something I wanted to bring for the conversation between all of us. And I just wanted to start with talking about why we pull back when it starts to feel real. And I know, Olga, we were talking about it before prior to the show, and you mentioned that it's super, super difficult for men to actually express themselves, to be vulnerable, to be emotionally connected, right? And again, when one person is holding back and not expressing, the other person just mirrors them, right? So the moment connection deepens, it starts to matter. And when it matters, it can feel very vulnerable, it can feel exposing, unsettled. So instead of leaning in, we instinctively start pulling back. And how does that actually look in our real life? Things are flowing and that you are opening up to the partner, you feel seen, it feels natural. And then suddenly we slow down the responses, become less expressive, create a little distance. And the truth is that connection does not usually disappear. It's often pulled away from the moment it starts to feel real. Guys, I'm
Mhm.
here. Let's have the conversation about it. Okay, Bruno, would you like to add something to that?
Yeah, of course. So I mean, it is very important for, yeah, men and women to be obviously like vulnerable with each other. Um, I think that a lot of times deep connection can slip away because people stop feeding off each other. You know, obviously, the more time you end up spending with someone, the more that the connection is going to get better because you end up knowing each other better. You end up getting to spend more time with each other, right? But at the same time, when you like being around other people or certain people, you kind of end up making the time to be with them, and you kind of end up prioritizing them, right? And I guess that if you take that away, deep connection will slip away. You know, like I think it goes both ways because like it takes more to build a relationship than it takes to build a friendship because I have friends in Portugal, which I'm Portuguese, and I have friends in Portugal which I can go back there and I haven't seen them for years and I will talk to them like I've seen them yesterday. But I cannot go to an ex-girlfriend and kiss her and be
Mhm.
with her, right? Like we haven't we have been together forever because we haven't. Not only it's a different kind of you know relationship. Obviously, it's a friendship, right? But it's also something that you work on every single day, right? It's also something that not only you work on every single day, but you try to prioritize the the people that are in your life that you made the choice to be with, right? Irregardless of anything, right? No matter what you do or how you do it, you made the choice to be with those people and you do it, right? And I think that's just I think to me that's the basics of a relationship, right? Like you fight for the relationship until there's nobody fighting for it anymore, right? Because people can't either agree on something, right? Or people just don't want to fight for it anymore, which is fine. Which honestly, it's all right. But until that doesn't happen, there's really no reasons for the connection to not slip away because there's always a solution, right? I feel like a lot of times there is always a solution, right? But if the solution is only benefiting one side, whether if it is the woman or the man, then it's not really a solution to be fair. Because I feel like a solution in a relationship benefits both sides. And if the solution is only inclined to one side and not the other, whether if it is either or the other, right? Then that's not a solution. It's a solution for one person, but the other ends up losing, right? So it also doesn't work like that. right? Um, so yeah, I guess, again, I think it's about priorities. I think it's about, people knowing what they want and how they want it. And unfortunately, if people want it in a way and it doesn't correlate to the relationship, then the relationship is over. And that's fine, because we should always be doing what we want to do because it makes us happy. We prioritize ourselves, we prioritize who we are. We know where we want to go in life. We know how we want to do it, or in another way in the future, right? And again, you choose yourself, right? And I guess if that goes against anything with others, or even with family sometimes, even if I do come from a traditional background, sometimes even family, like you still gotta go against it, because that's just what it is.
Oh my God, Giovanni, welcome. It's so great to see you with us. So, Giovanni says it's a hard truth indeed that love is a choice, not a feeling. Totally. Feeling is not going to take you anywhere unless you make a decision and start acting on it. That's exactly how it is. Being our word and keeping a promise even when we don't feel like it is hard, and it's true. And Olga, we are gonna go to you, but I just wanted to add
Yeah.
something to what Bruno was sharing. Because again, yes, it's important to choose yourself, and yes, it's important to have the mutual agreement in the relationship. Because if two people are not aligned with how they see the relationship, it's that's where the relationship is not going to work, because somebody is going to be always feeling like they are missing out. And it's about choosing yourself, and at the same time choosing the agreement that works for both people, because people have to know where they stand with each other. They have to have their non-negotiable as well. And only when that agreement is in place, it's much, much easier to navigate. Because again, if people want to be together, there is always a way to be, but there has to be a mutual agreement. Olga, to you.
Yes, very interesting. That's how, like, like in your conversation, I'm very, like, not surprised, but it's not that often to hear from men's this deep understanding of relationship. It's very deep. Yeah, it's very deep. Like you have maybe 100 years old and we don't know that, right? So it feels like your soul is really old to understand
Yes,
this.
the old soul. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, the old soul, yeah. And prioritize relationship. I don't know if we like invite like 50 men. I love men, but if we invite and ask them, are you prioritizing a relationship? I'm not sure if they will say yes. But just talking about myself, I can talk about myself and like my customers, because we pretty much was doing the same mistakes in relationship. You know what? Like when first you kind of want relationship, then you have it, right? So you have this perfect husband or perfect like partner, two kids, beautiful house, life, like everything what you dream for. But then, I was feeling like that, okay, I already have my relationship. I don't have to worry about it, right? So kind of like, okay, I got it. What's next?
Hmm.
And I was really, I will tell you, like, for many years, even after I have my first kid, I was focusing on career, and I was just in my mind was just not prioritize the relationship because I already had it. But in my mind was okay, life is short. I gotta have my career. I gotta raise kids. Like, so I gotta do things. And then pretty much how, like, I didn't have this understanding, what Bruno said, about prioritizing a relationship, since we have it. When we don't have relationship, we're like, oh, how we can get relationship? And it's not only me. I told Irina, like, I live in community in Florida, and I'm joining the book club. And it's a lot of ladies with a relationship in this book club. And like whole year I was going to book club, and then I told them, let's read a real book about relationship. You probably read this book, Men's from Mars and Woman from Venus. Very
Yep.
popular old book. And the women, they felt like it's offensive even. Half of them didn't come to book club because they didn't want to talk about relationship. Most of them were older than me, and they probably like, what this like woman want to talk about relationship? What is talking about? We have already our husbands, like kids, everything. So, and I think that's what happened. That's the biggest problem. Why it's hard emotionally to be open, in a relationship. Just because we're not focusing, we don't understand it. I'm talking from my experience or from my customers. We think it's not priority sometimes in life, especially since we have it. And it seems even like your partner always here. And we kind of like, I'm married 20 years at the same guy. Hopefully I'll be married like 20 more years. But really, nobody knows. And then you kind of like, you start seeing each other because it just sometimes focus go into the, like, we think more important things. But what I realized, like going through my personal crisis, like, recently, a year ago, that if you just realize that relationship, it's like the biggest blessing. And like each person, like, it's like the whole universe. You think you know your husband, or you think you know your girlfriend. But no, you know only just like 1% of this person. And if you will be able to look at your partners, with open eyes, and understand that it's actually, you are very lucky that person is next to you, live with you every day, see you, and just like it will change perspective. And I started personally look at everything else through relationships. So yes, I prioritize myself, like, because I always want to understand myself, right? But then also my second important thing is relationship. And we start like both like working on it to go to this deeper and deeper connection. That's what really changed. And then looking to my business, to some other things, my friends, it was after relationship, those simple things. But me, I didn't understand it for a while. And also, just one more thing I tell you, for me, really helped like this book. Because before I was more focusing on career, and making money and all these things, and that's what I was working with people. But when I realized it and I transformed my life a lot for the last year, when talking about relationship, I realized that relationship is like a fire. And if both of you not putting like wood into this fire, the fire not going to be here, And for me and my husband, it really was very helpful. Just like a app, a mobile app called Zilel. And that's where we started talking with each other through this app. Because, it was so many things we couldn't tell each other. But we found the new, I guess, more like a modern way to connect with each other and open, like, our new way of relationship. So that's like what's my experience, and that's why relationship, I feel like it's the most important thing, after understanding yourself. So that's like what really
That's so
important.
true. I just wanted to share the comment that Giovanni said that he did read the book.
Oh, nice.
He said, love that book. And the metaphor of man in the cave coming out only when they are ready to talk is a very masculine behavior. Yeah, it's all about understanding the dynamic.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, beautiful. And I love everything what you shared, Olga, because this is so important. A lot of times people think that if they are in a relationship, it's a given, and they forget to take care of their partner on a daily basis. They forget to be present with the person, right? They feel like that person is always going to stay. And I completely agree with you that awareness is everything, because you have to understand you gotta really love your partner for who they are at that moment, because you don't know if you have another moment. And again, it's all about prioritizing each other. And I just wanted to bring that why overthinking disrupts natural connection, right? Because connection thrives when we are both present. But the moment we start thinking, what does this mean? Where is this going? Am I doing this right? We leave the moment and go into the head. What this actually looks like, instead of enjoying the connection, we analyze every message, we reread conversations, we question our responses. Now the flow feels different. And the truth is that connection does not fade because it's not there. It fades because you stop being present inside of it.
Yeah,
Bruno, you
can't
want
say
to
better.
Yeah. Bruno, you want to add something to that?
Yeah, I think again it comes down to priorities, right? Um, Obviously, you prioritize being present for people that you believe deserve your presence, right? Because I mean, I prioritize people who believe deserve my presence. You know, if you have something you can offer me that is good, you are now worthy of my presence. If you have a special place in my heart, you are worthy of my presence. You know, if you're able to, if you are on the same path as me in life, which I believe I have now, tomorrow might be different. I don't believe that, but I only know what I believe today. And you are on that same path, you now deserve a place in my life, or I believe you are worthy of being with me, right? Because we can feed off each other. When it comes to relationships, it's the same thing, right? We feed off each other, we prioritize each other. You are worthy of being in my life because, in this case, you possess the qualities that I look for. Uh, so ultimately, in the end, always about priorities, always about, yes, what you're prioritizing, but also what you believe is worthy of you know, of presence. Like who you believe belongs in your life and deserves to be prioritized, right? Um, I am a big believer that if we truly want to make it happen, we can make it happen. There has to be, like, for example, I'm in sales, right? I do sales as well. And in sales, I refuse to believe that there is not a way out of an objection. Okay? You might not know it now. You might not know the answer now to why they're saying no, right? You might not be able to get it now, but eventually you will, because there's always an answer. There's always a solution. I'm a big believer that there is always a solution. And if there isn't a solution, then there isn't a solution. But very rarely there isn't a solution, at least for me, right? Because I care enough, I prioritize it enough to make sure that I can make it work because it matters to me. And that's the same thing with a relationship. If it matters enough for you, then you make it work, right? If you say to yourself, honestly, I don't want to be in any other relationship other than this one, so we have to make it work, you know? Even if in the end you end up not making it work for some reason, you know, just try. Just try. That's it. That's it, like that's pretty much it. Like if you're not going for it, then you're pretty much giving up anyways, you know? And if you are going for it, You are ultimately doing the only thing you can do to try and make it work, which is try. That's it. So again, priorities, believing who is worthy to be in your life, who deserves your presence, right? And then again, last week we were talking about relationships. Again, of course, that's what the talk show is about. We were talking about, prioritizing. First, we prioritize the relationship and the work. But then when you secure the marriage, then you're like, okay, I have it now. So now I'm just gonna go for a career because I already got that, right? But marriage or relationship, it's something is worked on every single day, right? It's like you get the prize, you get a prize, you achieve the prize, but no, you have to maintain the prize. You have to take care of it, right? And and next year there's another prize, right? So it's almost like competition, You get first place in one year. Next year you gotta finish first again because you gotta maintain the champion status, right? Because then you lose it.
Yeah.
Relationship is the same thing. You got your champion, right? And then if the next couple of years you don't take care of that champion is gonna go somewhere else because they don't feel appreciated, they don't feel loved enough, they don't feel like they're being taken care of, they don't feel like they're being loved the right way, so forth and so forth and so forth. It's something you work on every single day. And that also then kind of connects to this, which is priorities, right? And the priorities are super important. So yeah, kind of I think so, yeah.
I just wanted to add what Giovanni said. He says living on the razor edge of the here, now, present moment requires us being and staying in our heart. If only the mind and the heart spoke the same language. I love your comment. So
Yeah.
clean, so wise. But Olga, I just wanted to ask you on the terms of inconsistency when it comes to emotional safety, because when we talk about the deep connection, it has to have the sense of steadiness, predictability, emotional reliability. And when our energy shift back and forth, the connection actually becomes unstable. And sometimes it can look like in our life that one day we are open, engaged, fully present, and next day it's distant, quiet, and less responsive. So the other person might feel, even if nothing is said, they can feel that energy, right? They can see that shift that's happening. So connection actually weakens when it doesn't feel consistent enough to trust. What do you want to add to that, Olga?
No, just completely agree. And what you saying and Bruno, I love it that like you got to be champion each year, right? Otherwise, you can lose it.
Totally.
Yeah, totally. It's very interesting metaphor. And what Irina say exactly. That's why. That's why. Yes. And Giovanni, like really live from your heart, but it's the same like understanding your emotions, because like I'm not always like that nice, sometimes I'm like crazy and angry, and like the thing is like when you understanding your emotions, when you can be real, live through your heart, be like gentle with your partner, because he's like your prize, right? So it's just like something like that really enjoyable in life. So, and then when you accept yourself and your emotions, right, and your partner also will accept really your emotions, and the way you are, so you're not afraid to be yourself, and your partner is not afraid to show his emotions, to accept your emotions. It's all about understanding yourself and accepting it, and just like being real and live your life through like feelings. Like exactly. That's what I believe important, and that's what in this book, Men from Mars, was the same. Woman, we like the ocean, right? So we just like sometimes like this emotions is like coming. And for men, what in this book it says like just 10 minutes a day, can you like listen your wife without judging or without trying to guide her where to go. And even like for my husband, right, or for like my customer's husband, it was a challenge, So, but understanding how to express yourself and willing, like, to listen to you, accept your emotions, even sometimes when they high, I think it's awesome, the key from for the good
Mm-hmm.
relationship, and how to be a champion every year. When we change
Absolutely.
different phases, women getting, like, we're getting older, we're getting sometimes more emotional, men's going through their challenges, and accept also that sometimes men don't want to talk and want to watch TV, instead of like chat, chat, chat. It's also, acceptance and understanding of each other.
Mm-hmm.
So yes, I agree with both of us. Yeah, just
Yeah.
to keep focus on relationships. That's what it is really is about, and understanding how important is it.
Mm-hmm. And I love what Giovanni says. He says women are such mysteries. So true. There are so many layers. So for
Yeah.
men, when they think that they know us, next time
Mm-hmm.
around they might be wondering, do I really know her, right? So
Right.
yeah, there are so many layers to women, and again, it's all about like being very attentive and intentive to find out who your partner is and be there for them, right? So why we test instead of trust? When something feels good, we often want to confirm it's real. So we start testing by pulling back, by waiting, by observing, but testing changes the energy. What this actually looks like in real life, instead of saying open, we think, let me see if they'll reach out first. So we actually go quiet, we stop initiating, and we wait for them to prove something. Now the connection is slowing down. So I feel it's very, very important to stay open no matter what everybody's going through or processing, right? Because testing does not deepen connection, it often actually breaks it, interrupts it. So why not holding the connection? Let's let it fade, because connection needs to be held. It's not has to be forced, but maintained through presence, through consistency, through intention. And what this actually look like in our daily life, it's instead of saying staying engaged, continuing the flow, nurturing the connection, the person might let it drift, assume it will just happen, stop showing up the same way, and slowly the connection actually fades. So connection does not just stay because it started strong. It stays because someone is willing to hold it.
Yeah.
Bruno, you want to add something to that?
Yeah. First of all, I fucking hate when people test me. Fucking hate it.
Mm-hmm.
I hate it. For me, I think it's disgusting. I think it's disgusting.
Yeah.
It's like what a great way to show like the lack of emotional depth you have. Like
Mm-hmm.
zero. I think it's immature. I think it's childish. And I think it's it's just one of those ways of saying, look, I don't know what I'm doing. I can't admit it. And at the same time, I also don't know how to act the way that I want to because I'm too insecure to know that I'm going to look desperate. But then again, like I'm a serious person and I like people to be direct with me. Plus, I carry a very I wouldn't say like coldness, but like for example, my mother is a very direct person. Like she'll say it. She won't give a shit. Like she literally will not give a shit. She'll say it. My grandmother was a complete freak of nature. Didn't care. Like didn't care. So I took both pretty much. Right. I took both ways of being. My father on the other side is a way more calm man, insane, like completely alien patience, incredible patience, insane patience. Never seen anything like that, like it before. Never seen. Incredible. And it's something that I also had to work a lot on myself by looking at him, and like taking the best out of that. Um, But at the end, yeah, like I'm a very direct person, and I really appreciate and respect people, men or women, who they have the balls, they have the bravery and the courage to trust that when they approach me to tell me how they feel or what they are or how they are, that they're going to say the right things, because that takes bravery, right? And there's no such a thing as doing the right thing in a cheap way out, right? If you care enough about your friendship, you will say it. And if you care about your relationship, you will say it. No matter how much it hurts or no matter how much it doesn't. You're going to say it. And you have to say it. Because if you don't say it, then you don't respect yourself enough. And plus, you don't respect your partner enough. Plus, the person your partner expected you to be, you couldn't. Which now you're a disappointment. Which is even worse, right? To be a disappointment to the ones that love you the most and cherish you and believe in you, right? Um, and this is why I hate tests, because people lack the bravery to just say it how it is. And I think it's disgusting. I think it's just disgusting. But yeah. I feel like until people don't learn how to trust themselves and learn to trust their communication skills, or learn how to communicate what they want to say in the first place, then it's a no-go. And I don't want to be a part of it. I don't want to be involved in it. I just don't want to. Like, literally, because I just can't deal with it. Just can't deal with it.
I just want to say the comment from Giovanni because it's kind of covering Bruno. Um, Giovanni says that he hates as well and simultaneously aware it's her past coming forward to see if I'm like the last one. And because I love her, I'm going to pass that test over and over and over again until she takes me for granted. Because even being taken for granted is actually a compliment, because it means you are extraordinarily consistent and reliable. I love it, Giovanni.
Oh, that was insane. That was so
Giovanni.
nice.
Yes.
Mr.
So
Giovanni.
many
God.
fireworks for you. Okay, Olga, we want to
Literally.
hear something from you.
No, first of all, yes, tests for me, it's like manipulations. You know, so
Oh my God, yes.
I agree 100%. And like you, whether when we got married with my husband, we talk like, you know, you say things how it is, no games. Otherwise, why you want to be together? You know,
Yep.
it's just childish. You know. Then, from my psychology background, I would say that's like the truth that you know, people don't understand. But you know, actually, our mothers, right? We are looking for partners without understanding it, but we just looking for partners the same as our mothers, because moms giving us the first understanding of love, and sometimes it can be tough love. Like mom can be like just emotionally close, right? Because she's busy, and in our like mental, in our head, pretty much that's we believe it is love. And you know how many like women, they just like you know, like men treated her awfully, and she thinks it's okay.
Yeah.
You know, because
Whatever
it's just
she
like,
witnessed. Yeah.
yeah, it's just like crazy. And like the good thing, when we have the role model, for example, we are from the good family, and then like we understand what we want to build, and that's our like scenario. But if not, then it's crazy. That's why people go into mental health coaches, trying to figure out why they're unhappy in a relationship, because they are attracting crazy in their life pretty much. But about connection, what Irina was saying, I'm all about connection, and connection need to be like a real. What that means? I don't like watch politics with my husband, for example, or talk politics. And he doesn't like this, like going to picnics and like counting how many flowers around, so we, this is like what I like, I like go to nature and just like, so we are like, we trying to be modern, so we're trying to find new ways. Like he's 53, I'm 45, and we like, now we found this again Zillow mobile application, and we playing games. I hate games, but he like, and like during the day he texts me like, truth or dare, for example, game. And there is a question like, what really was like in your relationship special, and I put my answer, and he see it, and it's not what he was thinking, but he see something about me, so he like surprised, like, do you still remember it? So these games also keep us more connected.
Connected, yeah.
Yeah, but me, we cannot argue. For example, like connection, we disagree, right? And I'm emotional, he's emotional, and then like he's emotional and we like not agree, right? And I don't want to be a good girl because I want to keep the family, and he doesn't want to be also good guy, right? So we just like disagreed on something. Like I want to go to vacation, and he thinks it's just not the right time right now, and budget is just like not about vacation right now. So I tell him, okay, let's go and talk with our AI coach through the app, because he's not taking nobody's side. We're gonna just like communicate. It's all about communication and understanding each other without like covering with our own emotions. And really, communication, some people are good in communication, but some people is not that good in the communication. But I think connection and communication is the most important, but you gotta always find something new. Like the same as like boring sex. You don't want to have the same sex all the time.
Same
right?
position,
You
same bed.
You
Yes.
want to have some new emotions from this. That's why I think it's very important to be alive, understand what's going on with you, be open to partner, understand him, and just really, be focused on it and understand how that it's a big resource of life, relationship. So, and you can build your own relationship, not like it was with your family, with like friend of yours, neighbor, not in the movies that you see, but you can actually be happy by building your own relationship, and somehow find the way to communicate about it with your partner. So that's like a bomb in a good way, and your inspiration through the life. It's not happening. It's not like, she found this like guy or he found this perfect woman. No, nobody's perfect. Everybody have like their own things, So, but be able to just really work through it. That's, I think, the key. And it's
Yeah,
important to talk
that's
about
the
it
rewarding
because,
part.
yeah.
That's so beautiful. I just love this conversation. And like I also appreciate the, initiative from the partner, from the guy, because a lot of times what I notice like in my relationships, it's more like I am the one to be spontaneous, I'm the one to be creative, to do different things. So I appreciate when the partner also, like really initiates something, like surprises, things to do. This is always fun, right? And again, it's work, but it's rewarding work. And if one person feels like, I just want to have the fun relationship, and another person is just like, like, if that person wants to do, let them do. I'm just going to chill. So this is not a partnership for me. So I want to be in the relationship where both people are actually contributing every day, where both people are, valuing each other presence in life and listening to each other and really learning how to make that relationship better. So for me, this is exactly like you said, that's when we win in the relationship. And Giovanni says something interesting point, because I communicate better being a hypnotherapist, she often expects me to be the one to verbalize what she feels. That is often a wall I've bumped against from time to time as well. She's lucky to have you, Giovanni. Super lucky. Yeah. So, hypnosis, not hypnotherapist. Okay, hypnosis. Yeah. So the idea is, again, relationships. It's like like something that is not given. It's not something that if we are going to let go, it's going to stay with us. And there are people who are staying miserable in the relationship, right? Because again, they are too scared to choose something different. So I totally in that connection have to be meaningful, connection have to be deep, and two people are working on that. There is no such a thing as one person is doing the work and another is not. It takes two to tango. So I'm a firm believer of that, and I always keep advocating for that because this is how it is, right? One person listens, another person telling what like what is meaningful to them, and then vice versa. Because again, if people want and choose each other every day, there has to be some kind of agreement between them. All right. Anybody wants to say something else? This is like such a fun episode. And Olga, thanks so much for bringing the energy. And Giovanni, we are so appreciative that you are just, participating and talking with us. So Giovanni, type if there is like any other topic you want us to cover. Olga is coming back, but I love that a lot of people do not want to connect because they prioritize work, because work is easy. Work is very predictable. Work is something that if you dedicate yourself, you're going to see the results, but relationship is very fluid. And this is what makes this life beautiful, right? Because we can float on that beautiful water, but we don't have to forget that it's the skill, and we have to practice that skill daily. All right. Thank you so much. Olga, thanks so much. It was so much fun. Giovanni, it was great to see you with us. Bruno, thank you for this conversation. And we will be right back next week. And for anybody who watches the replay, share with somebody who might benefit from this episode. Subscribe to our YouTube channel to have more fun episodes. And just let us know what else you would love us to cover. And we'll see.
Thank you so much. Yes, Irina. Thank you so much for having me. Bruno, it was amazing conversation. Thanks.
No problem. Our pleasure.
Time.